Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying the same thought over and over? You think you're solving the problem, but instead, you're digging deeper into a pit. That's overthinking. It doesn't give you control, it steals it. The ancient Greeks compared it to chasing shadows. The harder you try to grasp them, the more they slip away. You can spend hours trapped in the same loop, but the only thing you gain is exhaustion. This was me, night after night, replaying conversations, imagining every possible outcome. I thought thinking more meant I'd finally find peace, but all it gave me was noise. Overthinking is a thief. It steals your sleep, your focus, your confidence. One thought multiplies into 10, then into 100. You analyze every word you said, every choice you made, until even small decisions feel impossible. The ancient Greeks warned of this trap. They believed the mind, when left unchecked, could become its own worst tyrant. Plato compared this inner storm to a city without laws. Every voice inside you shouting at once, no order, no harmony. When the mind loses its balance, it drags the soul down with it. That's why the Greeks believed wisdom wasn't about knowing more, but about training your thoughts to obey reason. I used to believe that overthinking meant I cared more, that by analyzing everything I'd somehow protect myself from mistakes. But instead, I became paralyzed. The more I thought, the less I lived. And slowly I realized, if I didn't change, my mind would keep me trapped forever. Epictetus taught that most of our suffering comes from confusing what is in our power with what isn't. We replay arguments, worry about other people's opinions, and even stress about tomorrow's weather, as if our thoughts could bend reality. But the Stoics reminded us, the universe doesn't wait for your approval. The only true control you have is over your choices, your actions, your attitude. The Stoics used a simple exercise. Draw a circle on paper. Inside it, write everything within your control. Outside it, everything you cannot. When worry appears, ask, does this belong inside the circle? If not, let it go. This wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. It freed them from wasting their lives on illusions. When I tried this for the first time, something shifted. I realized how much of my energy was wasted on things I could never change. The past, other people's choices, endless what-ifs. By shrinking my circle of concern to match my circle of control, my mind finally breathed. And in that space, peace began to grow. Overthinking thrives on time travel. Your mind drags you into the past, replaying mistakes, regrets, conversations, or it pushes you into the future, building worst-case scenarios that haven't even happened yet. But peace only exists here, in the present moment. The Stoics taught that the now is where life is lived, and everything else is imagination. To train this, the ancient Greeks practiced a form of mindfulness, bringing the soul back to the body. Epictetus told his students, "Be where you are." He meant that the act of noticing your breath, your posture, the ground beneath your feet, was already a form of wisdom. Because when your attention returns to the body, the storm of the mind begins to settle. When I finally tried this, I noticed how much of my life I had been missing. I could be in a beautiful place, but my mind was elsewhere, trapped in arguments, worries, plans. But with even a few breaths, I could bring myself back. The bird's song returned, the breeze returned, and slowly so did I. Your mind is like a vessel. Whatever you pour into it, that's what it will carry. Plato warned that just as poor food weakens the body, poor ideas poison the soul. If you constantly consume gossip, conflict, and negativity, Don't be surprised when your thoughts mirror that noise. The ancient Greeks believed education wasn't just about learning facts, it was about shaping the soul. What you watch, what you read, who you listen to, these voices become the chorus in your head. Guard them carefully, because in moments of doubt, they will decide whether your mind sinks or rises. When I began choosing what to let in, reading philosophy instead of scrolling, listening to wisdom instead of noise, my inner world changed. It wasn't instant, but over time, I noticed my thoughts becoming clearer, my decisions lighter, my mind calmer. What you consume is who you become. Most people let worry roam free, like an untamed animal running wild in the mind. But Aristotle believed that freedom without structure quickly turns into chaos. The key isn't to suppress worry, but to give it limits, a time, a space, and an end. One practice I found was to set a worry time, 10 minutes a day, no more. During that time, I wrote everything down, doubts, fears, what-ifs. And when the timer ended, so did the worrying. The mind learns that anxiety has a boundary. It doesn't get to own the entire day. At first, it felt strange, like I was ignoring my problems. But then I noticed something. When I returned to them the next day, most had already lost their power. The ancient Greeks were right. When you give worry limits, you give yourself back your life. Overthinking freezes you. You replay every option, every consequence, until even the smallest step feels impossible. But Socrates believed that wisdom wasn't locked in endless debates. It was proven in how you lived. He taught that action, not theory, is the true test of philosophy. One method I tried was the 2-minute rule. If something could be done in less than 2 minutes, sending a message, tidying the desk, starting the task, I did it immediately. Each action, no matter how small, broke the spell of paralysis. And something unexpected happened. Momentum. One small action led to another, and slowly, the noise of overthinking grew quiet. As Socrates taught, the path to wisdom is not found in endless thought, but in the courage to take the next step. If this moment has reminded you of who you are and who you still wish to become, subscribe to Timeless Mind by Nikolaos. Each week, we return to ancient wisdom to reset, reflect, and rise with clarity. This is your space, your philosophy, your voice, remembered. Here's the paradox the ancient Greeks understood. You can't think your way into peace. The more you try to reason yourself into calm, the more tangled your thoughts become. Peace isn't a conclusion you reach, it's a state you practice. Aristotle believed that virtue wasn't about knowing what was good, but about doing it repeatedly, until it became part of who you are. The same is true of calm. You don't achieve it once through a perfect thought, you embody it through daily choices again and again. When I stopped fighting my thoughts and started living the practices, breathing, grounding, acting, choosing wisely, something changed. The storm didn't disappear overnight, but each day it lost its grip. And for the first time in years, I felt not just less anxious, but truly free. Looking back, I realized overthinking wasn't my enemy, it was my teacher. It showed me how easily the mind can turn against itself when left untrained, and it pushed me toward the wisdom of the ancients, who knew that peace comes not from endless thought, but from disciplined living. The Greeks reminded us, you don't have to silence every thought to find peace. You only need to change your relationship to them, to see them, to accept them, and then to gently choose not to follow where they lead. This is what the ancient Greeks taught me. Calm is not a gift reserved for the lucky. It's a discipline, a practice, a way of being. And if I could step out of the storm of overthinking, so can you.